All right, good evening, everyone. We are going to get started. Hello and welcome. My name is Judy Guerra. I am the program manager here at EFA Project Space, a program of the Elizabeth Foundation for the Arts. For those that would benefit from a visual description, I am a white, gorgeous young 30-something with brown to auburn hair, trans femme identified, choker, and black dress. My pronouns are she, her, hers. We would like to welcome you on behalf of myself, the staff of EFA Project Space, and the curatorial team of the Immigrant Artist Biennial. Welcome you to the closing event for the central exhibition, in-person exhibition for the Immigrant Artist Biennial, as well as the closing event for the EFA Virtual Open Studios 2020. Just to go over a few ground rules for our virtual Zoom life as we're all living in our 2020 days. So there will be a short Q&A open comment section at the end of the formal program. So reserve comments, questions, shout outs, all that good stuff until the end. Please make sure your mics are muted. You can have your cameras on, not a problem. We love to see your faces. Beyond that, feel free to utilize the chat to ask questions, make comments, give shout outs, etc., etc., etc. Be respectful of everyone. EFA is an inclusive and affirming environment. We are anti-oppression in all forms, and no hate will be tolerated. We would also like to take this time to honor, acknowledge, and affirm the Lenni Lenape Indigenous community and ancestors for allowing us to hold space together in the greater New York City area. And finally, this is a little moot point. We've been saying this all week, but check out efa.art for the full listing of this week's Open Studio events. You can look back on all the events you missed and be sad about it, I guess. And also, hopefully next year, we will be beyond a pandemic and be in EFA Center in person, having cocktails together then. But in the meantime, today was the last day of our central exhibition for the Immigrant Artist Biennial, Here Together, which was curated by the incorrigible and incredibly talented Katja Gurkowski, with 11 artists who just happen to be immigrants, but are New York based and make amazing work. The viewing room for the show will still be up, as well as the catalog, which we're launching tonight. We'll talk about more in a bit. You can still view the online viewing room and continue to look at the virtual exhibitions. The biennial continues on, even though the exhibition here at EFA Project Space is sadly over today, very strangely and sadly over today. The virtual exhibitions continue on through nearly the end of the year, so we encourage you to visit theimmigrantartistbiennial.com, check out their 3 online exhibitions. There's also some in-person events if you're in the greater New York area. Do check it out and support those artists. And also tonight, snag the catalog, it's coming out. So EFA does this weird anti-thing where we release the catalog at the end of the exhibition to think about exhibitions as they trail into the world, as we reflect and look back at what worked, what didn't work, how the interactions happened, how the art was perceived. So you can check out on our site a PDF. You can also order a print-on-demand version, which is pretty cool because it's the 21st century. So check that out, and we'll have more readings as well as information on the catalog there. And with that, I'm going to pass it along to Dylan, who is the program director of EFA Project Space. Dylan, take it away.
Thank you so much, Judy. Thank you, Judy Guerra, for hosting and running the show tonight. And thank you to everybody who's joining us at the end of this long and incredible virtual Open Studios week that we've had at EFA. I think I want to just take a moment. So I'm Dylan Gauthier. I am the program director for EFA Project Space, and I am a white, middle-aged, or middle of the road, middle-aged, brown, curly hair, green eyes, male identified person, human being. I'm wearing a green button-up shirt and a bluish vest, and I usually wear glasses, but I have been staring at the Zoom screen for so many hours this week that I can't see anything anyway, and my eyes are just totally blurred over. But hello, it's nice to be here with you all. So yeah, this is our closing event, and I'm going to talk just for a minute about Katya and how great she is before handing over the microphone to her. But I did want to introduce EFA Project Space. If you haven't been here in person to EFA, we are a 2,500 square foot gallery space. We're located on the second floor of EFA Center, located at 323 West 39th Street between 8th and 9th Avenues. We're in Midtown West, AKA Garment District, AKA the Port Authority, the shadow of the Port Authority. We present 5 exhibitions, multiple artist projects each year. These are largely derived through a thematic open call that we host every year and a half, depending on how things go. And for 2021 and 2022, the theme of the exhibitions and projects that we'll be presenting is Bright Futures, which is from an open call that we developed alongside the work of the artist Lucas de Lima, who is one of our amazing project space advisors and who we love. And so keep an eye out. We'll be launching another open call round in early 2021. We also host Shift, which is a residency, and as far as we know, the only unique residency that exists for artists who are also arts workers. And so we have a cohort that will be finishing their residency with an exhibition opening as our next show in a couple of weeks, and a new cohort coming in that will be starting with us and then presenting a show in June. So you should check them out as well. We also host curatorial fellowships. Shout out to Emma Collery, who's on the call right now, who is our curatorial fellow at the moment. We're so grateful for her work. And we have also, as part of our exhibitions program, we host a kind of an incubator working with people who might be artists or arts writers or other arts professionals, but maybe haven't curated a full-scale show yet. And so we are always on the lookout for ways to be involved in that process. And that, I think, oh, do you want to hit the next slide, Judy? Sorry, I thought I was on. Thank you so much. So for our next exhibition, the 2019-2020 Shift Artists in Residence, who is this incredible group of people and amazing artists, all of them. We're so grateful and so happy to be working with them. We'll be opening on November 18th. The show is called Permissions, and it's curated by, it's really organized by the artists in Shift, but then curated by the artist and former Shift resident, Maya Seuss, who you may know from Flux Factory or other places around town. We're really excited about this show coming in, though, of course, we are sad that this is the close of the Immigrant Artist Biennial for us. Judy, do you want to hit the next slide for me, please? Thank you. So a huge thanks tonight to everybody involved in producing the Immigrant Artist Biennial. You've been amazing to work with over this year. Also want to thank EFA's staff and board, Project Space's Curatorial Advisory Council, who are listed here. We're so grateful for your input and your knowledge and your connections and your help with everything that we do and your support. And also to thank all of our funders and sponsors and the wonderful folks at the Andy Warhol Foundation for the Visual Arts, who are providing money for our exhibitions over the coming years. And we're so, so grateful, especially in this atmosphere and environment. It is just so important to have that funding. Also to Stavros Niarchos Foundation, who funded Shift this year in the midst of the shutdown. This was through our partnership with the Rethinking Residencies Association of New York City-based residency organizations, and we're so thankful for their support. And of course, NYFA, who have been a part of this project, I know from the beginning, and grateful to have their support, as well as LMCC. So just to name you all and say thank you, and we really, really appreciate it. Next slide, I think. Do we have a next slide? Yeah. Okay, so the Immigrant Artist Biennial. So I did want to say just a couple of words before handing it over to Katya. And and one of those is that I started looking back, and I was trying to find the first email that we sent each other about this. 'Cause I was trying to, it's been a while, and of course the show was supposed to have opened in March, and then obviously it did not. And we did a lot of other things from March till now, and a lot of online events. And you can read about those in the catalog, as well as watch some of those recordings online. And for, in large part, this exhibition, got me, and I know others feel this way, like got me through the year, working with you in the midst of everything that was going on. Became, I think, making the best of a terrible situation, and then it became this incredible opportunity to connect with you and with the artists, and to work so closely with Judy on all of this as it was developing. But so I was looking back, and I couldn't even get back in my inbox far enough. I went back, and I was like, I think I was on like 1,200 emails between us, and I was only in July. And I know we've been working together on this for, over a year and a half, maybe more now. And so I did want to just say, I met Katya through this incredible Art in Odd Places festival that happens every year on 14th Street. And that year I was curating it with Juliana Drever. It's a festival run by Ed Woodham, who many of you know. And Katya had this like incredible performance on 14th Street, where people would come up, and there was like strangers dancing together, and it was just like so beautiful. And I think after that, Katya went on and was curating Art in Odd Places one year. And when I started working at EFA, you were instantly in my thoughts as somebody that I needed to reach out to and reconnect with and see what you were up to. And it just so happened, I think, that day, I thought, I wonder what Katya's doing. And I may have just gone on your social media and somewhere, and you're like, oh, I'm trying to produce the Immigrant Artist Biennial next year, looking for partners. And I think it was, pretty early days. And so, yeah, we had a conversation in our office in person. It was lovely. And from there, it's just been like this, again, I'm guessing we probably exchanged 3,500 emails between us over the course of this. But I just wanted to say that through it all, you've been the most gracious collaborator, the most understanding. I want to extend that also to the artists in this show, who have been so incredibly supportive, understanding of changing deadlines, of the scope of everything being postponed and rearranged and moved online, and everything else we've had to do. And you've just come through, and you've come through like with so much heart and so much purpose and so much love. And I just want to say, I really mean it. This has been an incredible experience. We're so grateful to have you all as part of our EFA family, and you're all alumni of our program. And we will reach out to you and bother you and ask you to come back and do things with us again. And this has been an amazing experience. So I know there's more to come. I don't want to talk all night, so I'm going to pass the mic to Katya. And thank you again, everybody, for joining us. And thanks to Katya.
Thank you so much, Dylan. Hi, everyone. I am calling from the show that's already closed, but it's still on. So you can see some of the works behind me. So I guess, yes, description of myself. God. I am a young woman with brown hair, brown eyes, big smile. I don't know what else to say, but wearing black dress, white skin, brown eyes, brown hair, yes. So I am the founding director, chief curator, and an artist myself, but the founding director of the Immigrant Artist Biennial. So I'm going to read a few things about the biennial and a little bit about this exhibition. And thank you so much to everybody for taking part in it, but I'll go into a little bit of more details. So the Immigrant Artist Biennial presents work by US-based immigrant artists from around the world and sets out to form an international dialogue through exhibition of ambitious projects and events with an aim to facilitate a diverse and experimental discourse and build a globally connected and united community. In the time of extreme anti-immigrant sentiment, unrest, discrimination, and exclusion. This introduction was written in January. So this was pre-COVID, delayed several months by COVID crisis, Here Together, which is the name of the full biennial and the name of the central exhibition here at EFA Project Space, explores displacement, alienation, and the steady erosion of American empire, viewed through the work of 11 immigrant artists, New York-based 11 immigrant artists. The artists at EFA Project Space Here Together exhibition called forth the power dynamics and hierarchies of a late-stage struggling capitalist society in dire need of compassion and humanity. Their work grapples with issues of identity, the meaning of home and place, and a consistent looming threats of erasure, removal, and cultural whitewashing. So a little bit of history. TIAB has been in the works, in the public eye since 2019, when we soft launched in April 2019. We've done about 9 fundraising events ever since, and launched in March at Brooklyn Museum on the 7th of March, and we were supposed to open here on, I guess, 11th of March. So we postponed the exhibition until 9th of September, this exhibition. It so happens that forces, cosmic forces, aligned for me to open the biennial in 2020. It was promising to be a very difficult year, but of course, little did we know how difficult it would be. Although our official central exhibition on site, the only one that is physically in a physical form, took place in a physical form for this iteration, premier iteration, has come to an end. This is just the beginning, and I truly hope so. There were many doubts about the biennial before, about its past, its present, and of course there are doubts about its future. We're not in an easy situation globally, and we'll see how we go, but I really truly hope so. There is a future. And behind an often stern exterior, I am actually a true optimist. I believe we have to be. So I would want to say that on the eve of one of the most fraught and difficult elections and quite a dangerous time in this country and globally, I truly believe that the project was, is, and can be a source of light. So before I introduce the performance tonight, which is our first closing performance from one of the exhibiting artists in the exhibition, I wanted to say thank you because the biennial is a project that is a collaborative child. So I would say first and foremost, thank you so much to the TIAB team for persevering and toiling away with me on this project since spring 19, to all the artists, of course, participating in this particular exhibition and also persevering and sticking with it through the pandemic, through the shutdowns, through postponing, through socially distanced installs, through it all, through exhibition that is hybrid with virtual events and physical presence. It hasn't been easy for any of us, so thank you so much. Of course, thank you to EFA Project Space staff, Dylan, for really accepting my ideas and going along with me on this 200-year-old journey. And I actually did the same. I wanted to go through emails and I gave up very quickly. So yes, we do have 30,000 emails between us for years, what it feels like about this project. Judy, thank you so much. Without you, this would not be physically present in the space. Thank you, Judy. And Emma, for your support. Hi. We spent a lot of time together. We basically quarantined together in the space now. So
we're COVID buddies now. It's fine.
COVID buddies, and we definitely spent long days, long nights here installing, socially distancing, appointments, meetings, etc. Virtual. Hi. So I really appreciate all your work with me on this and going beyond and above. And Emma also for supporting our social media and for being lovely, for being there, for making my drinks. Thank you. You're an amazing fellow, and I wish you all the best in your career. And making it, and of course, Elizabeth Foundation for the Arts, that I am also a new studio member here. So for giving me a home to my ideas as a curator and a studio for the foreseeable future. So I live here, so come visit. I'll be missing going to second floor all the time to kind of take part in this exhibition. So it's been a long road. I'm so happy we managed to do this. There were doubts, of course, along the way, and I'm so happy we had all the virtual events as well to keep us going in March and April. It was tough, I know. So I wanted to, without further ado, to introduce the performance, the first performance for tonight. We have two. And the first one is also, sorry, I have to say thank you to our sponsors, which Dylan mentioned, but specifically to NIFA, who are a fiscal sponsor for the whole biennial, and also LMCC, who supported the show, and Women in Performance, who gave us a grant for performances as well. So Anna Parisi, who is an exhibiting artist in the show and who will be premiering a pre-recorded performance for video called Caught in the Act 2020. Which was done in collaboration, so directed by Gabriel Torres, collaborator Alexandria Detters, camera Natalia Almonte, assisting camera Ryan DeHerd, and editing Anna Parisi. Caught in the Act is a performance for video that portrays the relationship between two girls for different racial backgrounds. It evidences their dependency on one another and how this relationship has been tarnished by ideas of colonialism, white supremacy, white fragility, and inequality. So that's it. That's it from me for now, and I'll be back.
There you go, sweetheart. My goodness. Nothing better to do with your time.
Okay. Okay, it's okay. You're fine. 1835,
Let's get this done, okay? Go back to wherever you're from.
Calm down. So aggressive.
you're fine.
Are you kidding me? You don't have a reason to be here.
That's against the law.
I live here. What? I'm a taxpayer. How dare you?
Talk always about everything, about love, for silence weighs as bricks. Bricks become walls, and walls divide.
All right. Thank you so much, Anna, for a beautiful new performance, for sharing your work with us. Sorry, there's a feedback. Okay, got it. It's like we're two of us in this space. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen and talk about a new catalog. Just a moment. Okay, here we are. So here's the EFA space, project space page for the biennial exhibition. And there's viewing room here. And here's the exhibition catalog. It's also here. So I'm gonna go into, here's the purchase page and here's the PDF. Yes, so this is our cover. So thank you so much to the designer, who is Selena Lau, who is on our biennial team and joined us recently and helps us with design, etc. So thank you so much for working with us on this. So this is a free PDF you can download, and I'll go through it quickly to just, you can see it at your own time, of course, but just to show you a beautiful photography by Walter Vlodarchuk, who photographed the show for us, and all the performances, not all, but some of the ones who were live. And an essay by Mary Annunziata, who is here tonight, and she's one of the curatorial advisors for the biennial, and she's been with my project since the beginning. So she wrote an essay for us, and she'll be reading shortly an excerpt from it tonight. And then Eva Maybell Davis, for us, and she'll do a reading as well. So I also do this little intro by me, and then there's a recap by Dylan about the virtual programs that we had in March. So a little zoom shot, necessary zoom shot. And then we have the beautiful install shots. Oh, someone's unmuted. Can someone mute themselves? Thank you. Okay. So quickly, just to go through, you can see all of the, and then we have each artist has a page in the catalog with detailed shots. So here we are. So there's everybody here. 11 pages. And then if I'm going too fast, let me know. So this is, and then we have performance pages. So we had one performance by Yalari Magoza, all the exhibiting artists, about 4 artists did performances. This actually took place live, guerrilla style, outside Whitney Museum. So we documented it with Walter. And then this is Anna's Parisi's performance from tonight's stills. And then the second performance, which will take place and close our show by Levan. So photographs from the recording that took place in the gallery. And also Bahari Hoshawi and Sarah Imani did a video performance on Zoom. So these are stills from that. Also, all of these will be archived on our Vimeo page and will be put on our main site, the biennial site as well. So it's about the curator here, about the contributors here, last pages. All the bios for all the artists are here, so you can refer to all our artists, all our sponsors, about EFA, about TIAB, all our people, and programming. So a little bit more of a whole program that took place and is still taking place. And I'll talk about it later when we close about what's happening with the biennial next and where we are right now. So yeah, so that's our catalog and that's the back cover with our wonderful logo. And you can purchase this from also here. Which is a blurb print on demand catalog, and it's $20. So you can, yes, you can actually have a little physical object sent to you, a book. So I'll stop share with that, and I will, so next Mary Annunziata will be reading an excerpt from her essay for the catalog. Thanks, Mary. Do you want me to have the catalog? No, I'll actually, wait, I'll stop share so you have the video.
Thanks.
Okay. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Katya, and thanks everyone. It's great to be here with all of you. Yeah, as Katya mentioned, I've been with the project since maybe even February or March of 2019 after meeting Katya at CAA. And it's been a wild ride. I've learned so much. I've gotten to meet some amazing people. In thinking about how I wanted to frame this essay, which kind of speaks about the biennial broadly, I was recalling our formal launch that took place at the Brooklyn Museum the first weekend of March. There was a beautiful performance by Hane Utamura and Tina Wang that took place on the 4th floor of the Sackler Center there at the museum. And we were all just piled in this room together and entwined by Tina's performance with this silver thread that braided everyone in the room together. And, you know, by the end of that following week, all of us were in our Zoom rooms, enduring isolation and quarantine. And I've just been thinking a lot of how rapidly things changed. And yet throughout all of that, the biennial has been a constant, and we've really forged ahead and been able to have some remarkable things happen, albeit virtually, and still this exhibition essentially, which took place in the physical environment. So I will read just a few paragraphs from the end of my essay. TIAB exhibiting artists hail from a multiplicity of nations and experiences. Many are based in New York, still others, including those curated through the biennial's open call, opening virtually in October, range from across the US, from Charlottesville, Virginia to Boise, Idaho. Whether physically or virtually, TIAB unites them and their audience. Visitors to EFA project space are welcomed to the exhibition as though they are entering an imagined country. The show opens with Nigerian-born artist Dapo Rayo's participatory threshold, "Why should we be deported? This is very, very hard for a family," composed of a fluttering American flag ringed with barbed wire, a perceptive metaphor for America's promise and pitfalls. Glimmering just beyond Rayo's work is Georgian-born Levan Mindiashvili's neon installation, Levani's Room, America, honoring James Baldwin and Cuban-born Felix Gonzalez Torres as American catalysts for social change. Mindiashvili cites distinctive elements from their seminal works that question race, sexuality, and identity in Western society, and physically reframes them within a darkened gallery window overlooking a rapidly changing city. In acknowledging the struggles of his artistic forebears and fellow immigrants, Mindiashvili emphasizes a collective reading of our past in order to spur progress for the future. Folded within these and other works is a lesser-known video piece by Cuban-American artist Ana Mendieta. Parachute captures Mendieta's interdisciplinary practice as an artist and educator as her students collaborate to form a billowing fabric structure that connects and envelops them. Its inclusion within the exhibition is both a subtle nod to the historic contributions of immigrant artists and a critical valorization of experiential pedagogy. Parachute's undulating movement, enlivened by the motions of many hands, is a participatory action that is intrinsically hopeful. Like Udamura's performance, it invites intimacy and communion. During an era that threatens to rend our nation and a time in which Americans of all backgrounds are forced to confront their own precarity, the Immigrant Artist Biennial's presentation of these and other works demands a closer inspection of our social fabric. Mirrored in the exhibitions are the arduous, uncertain, and rewarding experiences of dozens of artists who have dared to imagine a brighter future by choosing America as their home. As we endure this collective separation and look to the next chapter in our history, we might well begin by listening to their stories. So I wanted to echo Katya's optimism. I'm a really deep-hearted cynic, but that's sometimes just a convenient mask that I and many others I think like to wear for what is in all of us a collective sense of optimism. So thank you to everyone who's been part of the project and to all the artists involved.
Thank you so much, Mary, and for contributing to the essay. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm tired. To the essay to the catalog. So I'm going to ask Eva Mehabel Davis to read an excerpt next. I think she's here. I saw her name.
Yes, I'm right here.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Katya. Thank you to the EFA team. Mary, thank you so much for your contribution as well. And it is an honor to contribute to the biennial and to have watched the development, the growth of it, and to also see my peers come into this project from all different angles. Being part of something bigger than myself, I can't hold anything else so dear, because these actions that we have are so much bigger than ourselves. And I think that the immigrant narratives really hold up to that. So the going into the physical space was one of my first experiences outside of quarantine, going out to see art again. So it really put into a lot of perspective what I ended up writing. So I'm going to share the introduction to my essay titled Live and in Person. It is with great privilege to be able to step inside a physical installation for the Immigrant Artist Biennial for the year 2020. I am immersed into a busy midtown intersection of New York City with an eeriness that only thrives in the folks working about the midst of a global pandemic. It serves as a reminder of the resilience and tenacity with which we, the people, prevail. An intrinsic experience that contextualizes the platform for the Immigrant Biennial and the exhibition Here Together, hosted at the EFA project space on West 39th Street. When approaching the exhibition, staged here by 11 artists, the curator Katya Krakowski carefully considers a selection of colors that guide the eye from the entrance and throughout. Matte green, red, gray, and pink are used as accent colors that invite and frame the viewer in order to absorb and stay. This is a mode of aesthetic resourcefulness that visually embraces and probes us to consider the messages and open eyes and ears to the work. As life under the constraints of the global pandemic and unpredictable politics demonstrates that there is a need for an embrace, for home and stillness, a mirror on the experiences of centuries of human immigration before the current settler colonial empire of the United States of America. Indigenous populations roamed and lived on these lands. The trade and exchange and immigrant and migration across the American continent is well recorded. In recognizing our past and present caretakers of the land of the Lenni Lenape peoples on Lenamehooping Manhattan, we bear the responsibility of understanding the past and present intentions of immigration. When creativity emerges from violent, consequential, and at other times aspirational movement, the voices and the experiences of a migratory life can teach us about us. In the Immigrant Artist Biennial, artists gather as canaries in a cave that echo the fears and hopes and the experiences of immigration. Thank you, Katya.
Thanks so much, Eva, for a beautiful contribution, and to Mary for sticking with the project and supporting it with your writing as well. So we are now transitioning into the last performance of the night, and then we'll have Q&A about the performances, about everything. And it is by one of the exhibiting artists here, Levan Mindiashvili, who's a Georgian artist, and I'm going to read about his performance tonight. A reading by Lucas de Lima in response to Levan Mindiashvili's work, Levani's Room, America at TIAB Here Together. For the Immigrant Artist Biennial's closing performance, Levan Mindiashvili invited Brazilian-born, New York-based poet Lucas de Lima to read excerpts from Cosmic Bottom. Featuring text by James Baldwin, Levan Mindiashvili's installation comments on the representation of race, colonialism, identity, and queer love and desire in American culture. Lucas de Lima's manuscript expands on bottoming as an act of heightened receptiveness that collapses the sexual, the racial, the affective, and the ecological. Penetrable and permeable, the bottom opens a portal to life worlds that are unintelligible to the gaze of phallic mastery, from Ariel the mermaid in the depth of the sea to the hole left by the mining dam's collapse in Brazil. This performance was recorded on site in front of the installation at night. So I am going to mute myself and give space to the video.
A tear in her hands, a break in the sky. It's not Mars where I want to be buried. It's here with all the jockstrap gods and daddies of the sun, cosmic bottoms who power erosion with light. Somehow I have to stay human as I bottom in the dark. In the dark room, bottoming is not galactic, but flight in and out of the void. A bear in his 60s exposes my skies for the community. He makes a third eye blink for my sphincter, the beam of an alien conjured bird-like. To sit in the toilet and meditate from within and without becomes an act of worldly love, the wriggle of a worm pushing out. All shit hinges on how much I open up. I only shed light for the most missionary of tops, he who unearths me like Rilke whispering, "You must charge your whole, you must give them life." Like a prayer, my body broke down into the petals I believed in, and plastic I couldn't transform, into a bird whose tears were made of amethyst, who wanted the virus to be violets, more violent than roses, christened as thorns. And I reached into my hole for a pierced horizon I could drink from. If wars were the end of poetry for a while, it took wars to end gyrations in the sky. Until I turned my subsurface inside out with a finger and traced a vein of coal seam on fire, an underground star. Then I could drink from my polluted hole, a world, the horror of my heart. All the bottoms of the universe rise up in planetary sickness and health. The spirits of civets, porcupines, turtles lay in wait when the virus crosses from one species to the next. The brush thick, a shrill cry in the zenith. We open our mouths to inhabit the cry. We take in the dead from morning till night. The rats and bats encircle us like ghouls. We try to stave off their flying flesh, but everyone needs a host in their life. We get it. We open our bodies to the virus, to each other, and everything else. A disintegrating forest, the circle of life, the blood of the earth, the rainfall of blood where we once killed and ate. As we chug sunlight through our holes, legs in the air, our faces crack like plates, and we birth the children who infect us. And when our leaders fall with the canopy, wheezing alone in their beds, we link up with the undergrowth. We gather within us the souls of the wet market, of the hospital, of the places without hospitals. We take in the dead from morning till night. We cry out with the roots all day. The Cuban daddy's in the cheap hotel room. The younger one angles his cock sideways into my throat, and my seams burst. His torso is smooth, and so is mine. He pounds the capitalist out of me, and trees erupt all around the bed. We are at the Malecón, when the seed in his mouth also bursts into a rose, Fidel's face through the trees. Fidel and Che want to DP me. The bed is in a room without a bathroom. I ask one of the daddies to pee in my mouth. On our island of visions, everyone glows with a blue tint, and the moon above is supreme. The toy poodle by my side is named Arcoiris. He wants to lick the deer that emerge from trees. Every throb comes from trees, and the soil in my anus feeds everything. When the older Cuban daddy fucks me, his island grows, my anus, the buffer of hurricanes that his island used to be. It was a bright morning in England. It was an early morning in Spain. I missed so many species within the fortress of Europe, solidified as the oceans rose. I broke myself up like Brazil into colonized fragments, a crucifix extended in continents of violence. I shoved it up my ass and heard waves of a shell inside of me clamoring, "You have to save the world with your rectal vision of love." I open up my hands and eat the bird inside the ball of light. The song of the bird of the devil burns a hole in my body, and out of it a streak of feathers. The air too thick, the air too raw, there is no way to ruffle out. Only Mariah, whistling in another world, conducts my travel across worlds. Her note like a butterfly reaches the gravestone, a horizon before the death of the bird, to dilate my whole when the angels seep in. I shit on pink dick, a cascade like a harp in the sky, for every century meeting in my veins. I eat my own shit off a pink dick and swallow the fathers to catch the government, swallow the government to catch the cops, swallow the cops to catch the borders, swallow the borders to catch the corporations, swallow the corporations to catch sellers and slave traders, to catch their cum that wriggles and jiggles and tickles inside of me. In the leather harness I am a horse who swallows and doesn't want to breed. I want to ride and die, to be bred again, a half-breed in the hole, a hole in the stampede. Ariel wants to be part of my world, even though her lyricist died of AIDS. She rips off her scales one by one. She electrifies the sky with her voice. Suddenly, a merman wields a knife in order to free netted fish. The sky lights up, and Ariel loses her transgender ambition. She goes on reading underwater because words have their own luminescence. She thinks of the packed red earth and remembers her hair. Like fire, she swirls and crackles despite a seed planted in her throat, a blowjob too violent to sing out of her. What she witnesses in fish-killing blooms, oxygen-deprived dead zones, hollows out her power ballad. If only clam breasts could orchestrate thunder. If only the enemy weren't as invisible as she is to seabirds who could stitch the world together. When the seed fertilizes in Ariel's throat, she grows the plasma of rebirth, a force field of reckoning forged in plastic. Her eyes redden like laser. They turn into one circle eye, the circuiting of her anal vision, cloaked in scales through a single socket. Her unified line of sight makes the oceans turn pink with blood and flowers and sea foam that never ceases to fizz. Not an earthbound spirit, but the meat of the sea, Ariel becomes the divine bottom of all depths. She cradles the drowned bodies of humans before carving them out, sucking their visions dry to see a world beyond them. Which one of you is the woman and which is the man? They asked me and President Bolsonaro. We weren't sitting on each other's laps that day. We were sitting next to a stream, waiting for the ravaged corpses to rise. I would rather our child be dead than be Brazilian, I told the press, as Bolsonaro accelerated my VIP pass to the United States. Don't suck Trump's shroomy cock, Bolsonaro whispered in the gay vernacular based on Yoruba. Don't get so jealous, I responded, and made sure my gun fit snug in my hole. The legislators of the world seal my body anew until a hemorrhoid like an eye swells my opening. And I join an unearthed chorus of poets who eat the shit, who fuck with the shit, who speak the truth they cannot bear. The truth of the prolapsed lyric on a threshold, the bottom on fire, all the way down to her depths. Earth and blood and mining dam burst. Lama, it's the mud. Over 300 disappeared dead. The news itself a trickle. Nobody outside the unserious country cares. Nobody inside the unserious country cares except for Emerson dos Santos, who stands on the debris of his mother's house. It looks like chocolate cake. It looks like a pile of shit. A car lies covered in it. The aerial view helps me see the flood is actually within me. My douche water flushing the streets. A fallen bridge between the bottom and the rest of the world, an overflow of mind souls, because my whole contains multitudes, because this crack of a country is where I was born. I cry and wet the earth, and will wet it again and again. When we die, we streak the horizon with a palette of shit. When we die, there's no one to enshrine the principle of bottoming, even as demand for fertile cavities grows, to become rose bushes, emitting shades of red, to be the earthquake that sucks and swallows every vertical protrusion, symbolic or material, but never a tree. Trees give us permission to create a bottomless world. They oxygenate invisible rings of interior life. Half-blooded song, half-hearted fuck. The crystal dick shines at night. I suck in so much smoke and take chemicals out my hole while trying to write the book of life. I take my body to its limits to restrict the flow of blood to my heart, to force my extremities to grow back wings. During the day, I walk the Judy Garland Trail and pause because I feel spirits congeal. A douche of the soul, the emanation of those still here like half-eaten deer. The mother duck halfway to the pines, her broken leg. When I sing in the wilderness, a call and response, my areolas contract like stars. The dunes rolling, the waves crashing, remind me, I'm not alone, but I'm also alone. A cloud over me like skin, trying to encase this world in a viscous membrane before it is gone.
All right, thank you, Levan. Thank you, Anna, for our performance earlier. Also, thank you to the 10 living artists who are in the exhibition at EFA Project Space right now. So at this moment, we are going to open it up to a Q&A for the performers tonight, for curators, for project space staff, not me, other people. Q&A, feel free to put your questions in the chat section. Feel free to unmute yourselves, ask questions, raise your hands. We have a few minutes there, and then we're gonna digitally mingle because that's what 2020 brings us. So beyond that, let's connect and ask some questions. Go ahead.
Someone had set off a couple of smoke bombs at a construction site across the street.
We can also chat unmuted, right?
Just want to say I love Levan's performance, and it's with Lucas de Lima. It's a pleasure to see a fellow Brazilian in the loop here. So I just wanted to shout out to that.
Thanks, Anna, and thanks for your performance as well. I realized there were two Brazilian artist poet tonight, so it's a nice pairing. Thanks, Daniela. Yes, any questions for us? So we have
a question for Levan. If I really like this aspect of the queerness mixed in with the politics in your piece. I was wondering if you could speak more about that.
Hi everyone. Can you hear me? Yeah, perfect. Hi Anna. Thanks everyone for being here. Thanks for including us here. Anna, well, the thing is the project really the work I was going to exhibit got developed. It really changed over this time. But mostly when we got here, and I was really thinking about. I was really interested in about two things. the like immigrant, like what does it mean to be immigrant in the context of American culture in general, how it is constructed basically and based on immigrant, let's say on like immigrant experience and their contribution. So I first and foremost, I want to kind of like draw the line that like see the kind of like historical context of like how it got developed, but at the same time, me as a queer artist, I also like, I'm very interested how like queer representation of queer love and desire in art and particularly in American culture, and also how it's basically, it's almost like, technically it's always about like asking for permission or all this like struggle to gain the permission to act on desire, and they like, not like desire, I'm not even talking about like romantic love, it's almost basically, it's like almost impossibility of queer romantic love. So, and especially like, it's like really changed in my personal like romantic life really changed during the COVID. So like it took another level of urgency for me. So also like, and then like meeting Lucas and like his getting to know his poetry, I really saw its importance, how important and interesting it would be to draw the line also historically, how, let's say, queer love was represented in the 1950s, particularly 53, when James Baldwin's Joanna's Room was written versus 2020 right now. So like I see how like Lucas de Lima in his poetry connects those two historic, like let's say draws the line between like 1950s and where we are. So like, and inevitably, you know, like because our life, because like I don't believe that politics is separate from our lives. I do believe that private is political and political is private. It's like interchangeable. It's constantly just like switching the places, but it's the same. So I do believe also like kind of like acting on desire and making it public. It also at some point it's actually political act. So yeah, that was my intention. And of course, there in between there's like very clear, let's say, reference to Felix Gonzalez Torres with his string lights. You know, it's like such a like iconic representation of like queer love and queer desire, queer artists, queer immigrant artists, but especially in the wake of Black Lives Matter, I deliberately chose the black light bulbs, which like black LED lights, they make white more vivid and more visible, and that's why also during the performance, that's only the only light source is this black light. It's almost like metaphorically responding to how this BLM movement actually makes all these problems like whiteness even more visible. So like it was important for me to also present this performance in the way of very current political situation.
Yes. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Levan, and thanks you for beautiful installation. I really enjoy when it's really dark in the gallery. When you did the recording here, it was really beautiful. And I think we're going to do that tonight as I twirl around the gallery in the dark with black light and a drink. We do a little virtual closing ritual of the gallery, of the exhibition. Anyway,
have you heard
any other questions?
Have you heard André Lepecky's comment on darkness as a space of possibility? So it's interesting also that Levan and you yourself, Katya, have this love, I'd say, for dark spaces and navigating through dark spaces. I like that a lot myself. But, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like my work is a lot also like I explore also the idea of the dance floor and the place where communities are created. So yeah, like
we can't hear you well. Sorry, it was like
I think it's my computer. I think I'm a little like also like I explore like dance floor and the like dark place, like the dance floor and the place that creates communities. Especially that was a place for me where I created my community in New York. So like black lights also like do allude to that space as well.
Yeah, it's interesting. When editing, we had this whole discussion because my performance was shot. It was shot like during the day and very early during the day, but we wanted to translate this sort of gloominess that that kind of like, how can I say this? Infiltrates our lives now in COVID times, but also leaving space for light to come or hope to prevail or something like that. So yeah, this was a long conversation I had at the time with Gabriel, the director of the piece.
Thank you both for presenting your performances tonight. And I know they were supposed to be taking place live in the gallery with people, with public. So thank you for pivoting and persevering and adapting, as we all must do right now, and who knows, for the foreseeable future. Any more questions from teams, staff, artists, each other?
Anna,
yes.
Video. I thought it was a really strong piece. How did you come to collaborate with Alexandra? Have you worked together before? I thought there was a really strong tension between your two bodies in the video.
Well, Alexandra Dieters, my collaborator, also an artist. We met maybe 2 years ago at the opening, at an art opening, and basically she came up to me and introduced herself. And she, if you know her, she's a lively person. She talks a lot. She's very energetic, and so she just came up to me. And I'm more of like a shy person, but she came up to me and, "Hi, I'm Alexandra." I'm like, "Hey, nice to meet you." And it started there, and we developed a friendship throughout these years. But the most interesting aspect of that is having we did a couple of like exercises during rehearsals so that both of us would be breathing at the same time, because we had to move at the same time also. So, and she breathes so much faster than I do, so it was interesting to just like be able to establish a connection and lock eyes basically, and lock into also our own two characters that come from different places and from that carry different weights, and just allow ourselves to literally be caught in the act, that action, that repetitive, perhaps Sisyphean Beckett-like movement that you could see in the performance. But she's great. I mean, do check out her work. It's very colorful, it's very lively, very different from the work I do myself. Not that my work is not lively, but you know. But yeah, that's how we met and how we decided to collaborate.
Yeah, because I know her work from before, and I was surprised to see, and like you said, she has this sort of bubbly, really kind of vibrant personality, and there's also a vibrancy in her textile work, and there's really a different side of her in this video, which was really,
yeah, it was interesting because when I first, of course, the score for this piece changed a lot, right? I had an idea of what it would be initially, and it would require much more audience participation and interaction. And when this monster COVID hit, I was like, okay, so how can I translate this into a video piece? Because ultimately it's a video, right? But still have this performative aspect of this relationship between whiteness and blackness. And she was, at first she was like, "Oh my God, no, I can't do this. You're my friend. I can't do these things to you." Because the script changed so much, so there were other elements. "I can't do this." And I'm like, "No, I need you to do this. I need you to be on this plateau with me and basically feeling what this character that has nothing to do with you would feel, you know."
Yeah, it was a good piece. So what were you, was it, you were saying that, you know, if you'd done it as a performance, not on video, there would have been more participation. What was the intention? And do you think that you will, you know, create that performance somewhere else?
Oh, definitely. Yes. Well, having to rethink a performance was very interesting because it becomes something completely different. You know, I had an idea for something and then it shifted into a new piece. So I think that, but the core investigation is there, which is how whiteness relates to Blackness and these ideas of oppression, weight carrying, white fragility, and basically all the conditions that are imposed on a Black body, right? That exists in space and is constantly struck by racial systemic violence and lives with this idea of embodying and carrying this eternal weight.
We have a question here from Bahari. She says, how do you think the performance's impact has changed taking the live aspect away? I mean, I think you spoke to that a little bit, but yeah, how do you think for as audience members, or, you know, did you think about the audience when you're thinking from live to video? And
yes, well, of course. How it changes, well, I think it's two completely different propositions. If you're in space, at least as a performer, first and foremost, you feel the energy of your audience, right? So you are in a gallery or an open space like Yamagosa's performance, but still you have that connection with who is there at the place and the energy that they are giving out and giving you as a performer as well. When it's a video, it becomes about the medium, which I tried not to make it so much about the medium, but more about the action. I wouldn't have the sound aspect to this piece if it was live. I would be able to have other elements included, like my own sweat. You would see what happened. Maybe you could even have a glimpse at like, oh my God, she's gonna fall, or oh my God, she did fall, or oh, the rocks, whatever, you know? So I think performing live and performing in a Zoom environment for a Zoom environment are two different propositions. Not saying that one is better than the other. Of course, I have my preferences, but yeah, it's completely distinctive. Distinct, sorry. Yeah.
Thank you, Mikhail and Anna Bahari, for a great conversation about video versus live versus Zoom, pivoting performances. That was a big conversation we had in general here when we realized everything, all the live events, including openings and closings, will be virtual. So pivoting had to happen. But there's a great question here, I think, to all of the immigrant artists in the biennial and others. What message would you share with young immigrant artists in high school experiencing and negotiating these turbulent times?
Keep going.
What message would you share?
The same message I say in my video, my performance is keep going, believe, time will be unfolding. This is not permanent. The situation is not one that we will not get out of. And also making art is persevering, making art is resisting, making art is facing your personal fears and because your art is your expression. So keep going, go ahead.
Exactly, and that's why I mentioned perseverance several times, because that's what we had to do with the biennial. But anyone else wanted to comment on that, the message? The question of keeping going, especially currently, right? Especially today, takes on a different meaning as well.
Can I add something to that? Yeah, I would say that like what's really crucial and important, especially in this country where like this, like especially for the immigrant artists, it's always like first approach is this attempt to fit in and become part of. And in this situation, it's so easy to kind of say no and like turn back to our own background and our own past. And and I would say, like, from my own experiences, that's the biggest mistake. I think that first and foremost, any person, we should like just like embrace our past and our background, wherever we're coming from, and actually our main voice, our main, like whatever we have to say is embodied there. And then like being alert and like very attentive to what's happening around, and trying to also like attune our voice and like respond to what's happening there, but also keeping very deeply inside where we're coming from. That's what I would say.
Anyone else has any thoughts? Any questions?
Maybe Katya, to respond. Someone had asked earlier about where the location where I shot the piece. It was shot at a hangar, an abandoned hangar here in New York. And excuse me?
No, just someone's microphone.
Okay. But during my research of the place, like after, because I was like, first I was in love with the place, and then I was like, oh my God, what does it mean? What is this? Blah, blah, all the questions we asked ourselves. But I discovered that it was only, this particular place was only used for a year commercially. So I was thinking a lot about this sense of abandonment and the sense of like a rather dystopian place, right? Because it's kind of like dreamlike and eerie and everything, but how this dystopian place that has been abandoned and taken up and by, right, nature and concrete and rotten wood and everything, and how it's actually like a glimpse. It gives us a glimpse of like this place of equity and this place of I don't want to use this word, but bear with me, a tolerance towards empathy towards different races, credos, genders, gender preferences, is a place we also do not know. We haven't been there for long. So like, but the protests, George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and all, Ahmaud Arbery and all the other ones that were killed before and that will still be killed moving forward by police or violence. Even though it was a very dark and gloomy place that we found ourselves this year, the idea of a possibility, and with this, I go back to what I really enjoyed about Levan's performance, the possibility of queering this gloominess into something, into a future imagination of whatever we want to make it. And yeah, I just wanted to respond to the place question.
Thank you, Anna. And any other thoughts from any others who are here from the exhibition or team members? Future imagination, yes. Blanca, do you want to say something? Yeah, I don't know. This is where it gets awkward. Judy, help. I don't know.
I was wondering if I could pop in and answer the question about advice to youth and young immigrant artists and creatives in school.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks, Eva.
I think primarily I just want to encourage everybody to participate in your career days. If you guys work in high schools, if you work with youths, like use that as a tool to communicate with them, to encourage them to just keep doing what they're doing, period. Whatever that looks like for them, whatever that whatever they feel resonates with them. If it's cooking, if it's writing, if it's making, if it's spending time at home, if it's spending time outside, like if they're skateboarding, like how do you take that to the next level? Like whatever they're persevering, like to push it on and on. Because I think that's definitely what pushed me, like having the encouragement to do whatever I wanted as a first generation immigrant that had to learn the language, that had to navigate and continues to live in a migratory living space under these social, economic, and political times, to just know that that it doesn't matter that there is or isn't a platform, but the fact that I can do it myself. And that there are a lot of other folks out there doing it themselves, and we'll find each other. That's all. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Eva. That's a great message. I agree. We will find each other. We must. We have to. But
we found each other, Katya.
We found each other. Exactly. Exactly. We met a while ago now, I believe, a few years ago. So I'm very happy that Eva was able to contribute. And yeah, we've been having conversations. That's what happens. Just keep talking, keep finding your people.
You mind if I say something?
Hey, hi, Esperanza.
How are you? Hey, everybody. It's so beautiful to see everyone's face. I've worked with teenagers and young people for a very long time. And the way that I see it, these are extraordinary times where we are extraordinary people. And if you have a creative ability, you are gifted beyond the moment. I think this is the time to go internal, because obviously we can't go external. And how wonderful that is, you know, and being creative is another form of language. So I feel that we are really blessed. I mean, I have always felt that, and life has never been perfect and often not fair, but so what? I mean, we have to go on. And with Smack Mellon, as Eva knows, you know, I work with young people, and they're just so brilliant. They're so talented. They just need the love. And I think it's important for us to not just share our work, but share love, to be loving and kind to each other.
And also, Esperanza, it's important for us older people, I mean, I'm not that old, but anyways, to nurture these spaces where these young people can engage and participate and have a voice. Yeah, nurture, love, try, continue, persevere.
But I do think we need to nurture ourselves, because life sometimes is very imperfect and you don't have the right connections, even as a very young person. So I think going interior, securing yourself emotionally, because this is an awful time. I've had enough, young people cry to me, but is it really the moment to cry? I don't know. Maybe this is an extraordinary moment. I don't want to see it as a negative. Mm-hmm. You know, it's different from what we were expecting.
Yes.
That doesn't make it necessarily awful. You know, I mean, I've gotten to know myself better than I have in 20 years. My God. You know, but it is beautiful to see everyone's faces. I love it.
Thanks so much, Esperanza. I have a message from Blanca, who's having trouble with her sound, but I'm going to read it out. For our high school students, things change. Trust that nothing stays the same. We need to support each other. Beautifully said, Esperanza. We need to go internal, since we cannot go external. We are here for you. We're here for you. We're here for each other. Trust that we are. Here Together. Thank you so much. Yay. Here Together was a title that was talking about, at the time I was thinking about separation and, still happening, but family separation, etc. And in general, what immigration means, and unity that we need, and also thinking about each other, collaborating, communities, etc. And it took many meanings. So there were immediately together apart. As soon as COVID hit, it was everywhere. So Here Together is sort of, and then we did reopen. So it has its own kind of, you know, a constant meaning is changing, but I wanted to have a general title that can sort of sustain a whole biennial. So any other thoughts, questions?
I have a shout out. I have a shout out to my mom that like pushed me forward to singing. I don't sing, but like she sings. She used to sing a lot of lullabies. And when I said, "Mom, do you think I should sing in this piece?" My voice not that good. And she was like, "Yeah, you have a beautiful voice." So like shout out to mothers that are always very nurturing. But yeah.
Yeah, so any last questions? Oh, okay. Oh, any other thoughts? We do have, so I can, Judy, we have some closing remarks?
I would say we have about 5 minutes left for Q&A, and then we will mingle the night away. And so any last questions, put them in the chat. Beyond that, you can, of course, still check out the exhibition on our website, and of course, check out the TIAB exhibitions on their website, virtual up till December. And the catalog, please check out the catalog if you haven't seen them, or also our upcoming exhibition, Permissions, here at EFA Project Space. Final questions. We're in our final questions, last few minutes, put them in the chat if you have them.
And I was going to say, you know, if folks don't have final questions, if people wanted to just unmute themselves and we can go around and I'll say thank you, Levan, Anna, for sharing, for performing. Thank you so much, Eva, Mary, for reading. Thank you, Katya. But yeah, feel free if everybody just wants to take a minute and unmute. You can clap, you can say thank you, you can say anything you want. And then we can kind of hang out together. Thank you, Judy. Thank you, Katya.
Yes, I wanted to say a few closing in terms of the future, current situation with the biennial. So we have, Dylan, thank you for putting virtual exhibitions. The website is there. It's a new site that's specifically dedicated to 3 group exhibitions that were supposed to follow the EFA Project Space exhibition, March, April, May, June, July. And instead we went virtual. So there are about 65 plus artists on that site. We also have virtual events and performances with those exhibitions ongoing until December 18th. So December 18th is our full biennial closing. It's virtual event with performances. We have 5 more events upcoming. And one live event we actually have, I'm gonna put a link here, oh, private, oops, everyone in the meeting. It is a partnership with Greenwood Cemetery. We have one live event left next Sunday, 1st of November, by an artist called Ivan Sikic. He's going to do a durational performance from 12 to 4, and it's actually dedicated to immigrant artists, immigrant graves, public lots at the cemetery. It's a very beautiful piece. It's durational. It's free to attend. You can come and hang out at the cemetery. Hopefully the weather is good. And that's our last live event of 2020, as in we'll have live events on Zoom, but in person, outdoors. So yes, please follow, also subscribe to our website to get all the upcoming news for the biennial. It's, I'll put a link here as well to it. You'll get our MailChimp. And follow us on social media. And just a little plug, maybe, hopefully the 22 biennial will happen. I don't know. The future, it's a DIY project, so I'm already thinking ahead what will happen 22. Hopefully we'll find a venue. I will be still the director, but I will not be curating the next one. I will be seeking curators. And I will be seeking venues and funding, as always. So if anyone has any suggestions at all, contact me, email me, we can talk. And yeah, so thank you so much. I'm gonna mute myself, but hang out, let's hang out. And Great. Thanks,
So
Megana.
we're going to put some music on. Everyone feel free to hang out, to chat. We don't have like a formalized DJ like we did at the opening, but at the same time, thank you, Katja. Thank you to all of the artists. Thank you to Anna and Levan for your beautiful performances tonight. Thank you to my collaborator, Dylan, for continuing to make Project Space take off and be wonderful. Thank you to the staff at EFA from all three programs for making Virtual Open Studios live its best life. And with that, check out Immigrant Artist Biennial virtual shows up through December. Continue to follow all of us on Instagram and all that good stuff. And vote.
Yes.
And we will, yes, everyone vote. And we will see you at our next show, November 18th, with our shift residency opening. And here we go.
Yeah, say hi. We're still here till 8, basically. We're in a space. I can swirl it around a little bit. Just, I'm literally on the media card.
Swirling around. Yes. Turn around, girl.
Here we are, here we are, here we are. So this is Levan's installation. It's really beautiful at night. It's dark outside now. So this is our nightclub here for tonight. There we are, hi. Thanks, Levan, for providing us with this beautiful piece. It's really, so we're gonna, switch off the lights at some point and have this purple black light, but the show is there kind of. I mean, it's half off because of the videos are off, but anyway. Yeah, I'm gonna, oh my God, okay. I'm attached by a cord, so I can't go too far, but here's the little preview. But I actually did a IG live today of the show. It's on our Instagram, so if you want to see the whole show, me just walking around with, my phone. But yeah, let's put on some music, Judy.
Yeah, I'll do it. Dylan, any final thoughts?
I feel like I keep giving final thoughts. No, thank you again all for coming. This has been amazing. Best thing we could have for the ending under these circumstances. And get the catalog, visit the virtual exhibitions, come back and see us at Project Space. In a couple of weeks, we'll be doing by reservation, by appointment, visits to the next show. And there's lots going on in the building. Blackburn printmaking workshop just reopened, which is very cool. So we're excited that we're, back. Hey, what's up? Yes, hey, coworker. Lovely to see everybody. Thank you so much, Judy. Thanks all. And please, go ahead, unmute and say hi, or, if you're not there, that's fine too. You don't have to turn your camera on, but it's been really lovely being here with you tonight. I'm going to turn off the recording. We can start the playlists or playlist. Katya, you can turn off the lights.
Here's to you. This song's for you. You're so special. There's no one else like you. Your style, your smile, your personality.